Hi everyone, welcome back to class. In today's video, I will explain you the ATM project using the Java where it performs the operations like checking out the amount, withdrawing the amount and depositing the amount. Okay, so I will explain you the step by step process with the code. So at first I'm going to take a class named project here. Okay, so So when the program runs, it asks the user to enter the password, right? So before that, we need to take a default password. Okay, so I'm taking the password which is of type int and the variable is equals to pin. So I'm taking the default password as 456. Okay, and initially we will be having the balance as 0. Okay, so that is of type float and the variable is balance which is equals to 0. Okay, so I'm taking the scanner class because the user needs to enter the password, right? So I'm taking the scanner class, that is scanner followed by variable sc which is an object, followed by new keyword which is used to create an object, followed by scanner. So inside the parenthesis we need to take system dot in. Okay, so as we have used here scanner class, so we need to import the scanner class here, that is import space java dot util dot scanner. Okay, so now what we need to do is, let us take the main method, that is public static void main. Inside the parenthesis we need to take string args. Okay, so here what we need to do is, so let me take a method that is public void verify pin. So inside this method what we need to do is, so here I have taken the pin as 456, right? So when this program runs, it asks the user to enter the pin, right? And that the user entering the pin should match with the pin that we have taken by default. Okay, so there what we need to do is, so in order to take the user pin, we are taking the scanner class, right? So here what I'm taking is system dot out dot println. So here give the text as enter your pin. Okay, so int, let the variable be key equals to sc, that is the object reference. So as the user is entering the integer type key, here sc dot next int. Okay, so the variable or the pin that the user has entered will be stored into the variable key which is of type int. Okay, then what happens is, it will check the user entered pin is exactly matching with the pin that we have taken by default or not. So that we are taking if pin is equals to key. So if the user entered the pin and the default pin that we have set as 456 matches, then it should give the output as entered correctly pin. Okay, and then it should call the another method, that is menu. So where the method will be having the operations like checking out the amount, withdrawing the amount, and depositing the amount. But if the pin that the user has entered is wrong, then what we need to do is we just need to take the else block. Okay, so here we need to take system.out.println, and here we need to text the pin entered wrong. Okay, and it should ask the user to enter the pin again. Okay, so we need to call the method verify. We need to call the method verify again. Okay, so verify pin. Okay, now here what happens is, so when this particular method gets called, so it shows the output enter your pin. Okay, so the pin that the user has entered will be stored into the key variable, and the default pin is 456. So what happens, it will check the default pin and the user entered pin are correct or not. If it is same, then it shows the output as entered correctly pin and execute the method menu. Suppose if the pin that the user has entered is wrong, then it shows the output pin entered wrong and calls the method verify pin again. So this is the verify pin. So again it execute this particular code. Okay. So in order to make this particular verify pin method gets executed, we just need to call that particular method, right? So here inside the main method, I'm just creating an object for the class project. Okay, so that is project followed by variable. Let the variable be ATM equals to new followed by project, that is the constructor which is having the same name as that of class name. Okay, so now with using the reference variable ATM, I'm just calling the method verify pin. Okay, so that is ATM dot verify pin. Okay, now if you execute this particular code, what happens is the execution of Java code starts with this particular main method, right? So we have created the object for the class project, and using the object that is the reference variable ATM, I'm calling the method verify pin. So it calls this particular method verify pin and executes enter your pin, and it asks the user to enter the pin. Okay, and if matches the pin that we have set default, then it shows the output as entered correctly pin and execute this main method, or else it shows pin entered wrong and again calls the verify pin method. Suppose, let me run this particular code and see what happens. Okay, so I'm running it. Before running it, let us take this particular main method in comments, because this should not be executed because we haven't defined any main method, right? So we are taking it in comment and try to execute it. Okay, so you just click the button run without debugging. Okay, now it is asking you to enter your pin. So we have taken the default pin as 456. Suppose here instead of 456, let us try to give 898. So now enter. So it showing the pin entered wrong and enter your pin. Okay. So it is asking us to enter the pin again. So now give the correct pin, that is 456. Okay, now enter. See, entered correctly pin. Okay. So this is the output that this particular verify pin method gives us. Okay. Now let us move forward with next part. Okay, so here I'm taking the method menu. Okay, so whenever the pin that the user has entered is correct, then this particular main method gets executed, right? Okay, so what I'm doing here is, so I'm just taking the method menu, that is public void menu. Okay, so inside it I'm taking, that is system.out.println ATM menu, and it should give the output like, so it includes the things like, first one is check balance. Okay, and the next option is withdraw amount. Okay, and the third option is deposit money. Okay, and the fourth option is exit. Okay, so it should ask the user to select one of these options. So I'm taking the text as choose option. Okay, okay, now if you run this particular code, what happens is, so if we enter the pin correctly, then this particular text that is entered correctly pin, this get executed and call the main method. So once this particular main method gets called, this total text will be printed as output. So let us run it and see what the output is. Okay, so I'm entering the correct output, that is 456. So 456. Now enter. See, you are getting the output as ATM menu. First option is check balance, second is withdraw amount, third is deposit money, fourth exist, and choose option. Okay, so I'm continuing with the further process. Okay, so what we have to do is, so here it is asking choose your option, right? So the user has to enter that particular option, right? So again here we need to take the scanner class. Okay, because the user has to enter the option, right? So already we have taken here the scanner class, and the reference variable is sc, right? So here the option will be of integer type, right? So I'm taking int option, which is a variable, equals to sc, that is a reference variable, dot next int. Okay, so now what happens is, the option that the user has entered will be stored in the variable option. Okay, now what happens is, if option is equals to 1, so we need to call the method that is balance. Okay, we need to call the method balance, that is balance. Balance. Else if the user enters the option that is equals to 2, then what we need to do is, we should call the method withdraw. Okay, withdraw. Else if user enters the option that is equals to 3, then it should call the method deposit. Okay, else if the user selects the option that is equals to 4, then it should show the output like exiting. Okay, then here we need to take else. So here, sorry, here else. So else we need to print like invalid option. Okay, so if the user enters the option equals to 1, then it should call the method balance. If the user enters the option 2, then it should call the method withdraw. If the user enters the option 3, then the method deposit gets called. If the user enters the option 4, then it shows the output like exiting. Okay, and if the user enters the option that is none of these four options, that is 1 2 3 4, then it should show the output like invalid option. Okay, so when the user enters the option 1, then this particular balance method gets called, right? So here it's get called, right? So here I am defining the method balance, that is public void balance. So okay, so inside the balance, what I'm doing is I'm just printing out the balance that has there in the account, that is your balance. Okay, so here we need to take balance variable. Okay, and the next method we have is withdraw. So when the user enters the option 2, then the method withdraw gets called. Okay, so I'm defining the method withdraw, that is public void withdraw. So here you need to remember two conditions. So when the amount you wanted to take is more than the amount that is there in your account, then it is not possible to withdraw. Okay, or else you can withdraw. So what I'm doing here is I'm just printing out enter the amount you wanted to take. Okay, so the user needs to enter the number, I mean enter the amount that the user wants to withdraw. Okay, so I'm taking the int and the variable b take equals to sc, that is the object we have created for the scanner class. Okay, next int. Okay, so here if take amount, I mean the withdrawing amount, is greater than the balance, then it will show output like insufficient balance. Okay, okay, if the take amount is greater than balance, then it is not possible to withdraw, so it shows the output as insufficient balance. Okay, so insufficient balance, or else it allows us to take the amount. So what we need to do is, so balance is equals to balance minus take. Okay, so and you need to print here the amount that you have withdrawn, that is withdraw amount, that is take. Okay, and next the third option, that the when the user enters the option 3, then it should call the method deposit. Okay, that is public void deposit. Okay, so what it means, so the user is adding the amount to the existed amount. Okay, so we need to add the deposit amount with the balance. Okay, so here just give enter the amount to be deposit. Okay, so the user needs to enter the amount. Okay, that should be taken into a variable. So I'm taking the variable like depositing using the scanner object, that is sc next int. So next what happens? So balance equals to balance plus depositing. Okay, and then you need to print deposited amount. Okay, deposited amount. So I am taking here depositing variable. Okay, so this is what about deposit method. Okay, okay, so I've done with the total code. Okay, now let me run it and see what the output is. Okay, so I'm just running. So it is asking the user to enter the pin. Okay, so I have defined the pin as 456. So at first let me take the pin as 898. So it is showing the output like pin entered wrong, enter your pin again. So now I'm entering the pin 456. So it is showing the output like entered correctly pin, ATM menu, and showing the options like one check balance, withdraw amount, deposit money, exit, and also asking us to choose one of these options. So I'm entering the option 1. So it should show the balance that we have. So initially we are having the balance 0. So as we are entering the 1, it should show the output as 0. Okay, so it is showing the output like your balance is 0. Okay, now let me run it again. Okay, and enter the pin, that is 456. Okay, now select the option 3. So you are depositing the amount into it. Okay, that is 3, enter. So enter the amount to be deposit. So I'm just adding the 1500, and initially we are having the balance 0. So 0 plus 1500 is 1500. So enter. See, it is showing deposited 1500. Okay, so this is how this particular ATM project works. Here, when we perform the one of these operations, like when we perform this particular block of code, okay, so it is showing output as 0 and exiting, right? And when we execute this particular withdraw method, then it is executing this particular code and exiting. Okay, so instead of this, we can also add here the main method. Okay, so what happens is whenever it shows you the your account balance, then this particular main method, so this particular main method gets called again. Okay, and so here also you can add the main method. Okay, and here also you can add the main method. Okay, and yeah, that's it. So now let us see what is going to happen. So as we have added main method here. Okay, now let us try to run it. Okay, so enter the pin. So I'm entering the pin 456. Okay, so it is showing entered correctly pin and ATM menu showing the options 1 check balance, withdraw amount, deposit money, exit, and choose option. So I'm selecting the option 1. Now let us see what is going to happen. Okay, so as I have entered the one option, it is showing your balance is 0, and again it is asking us to select another option. So this time I'm selecting the option 3, that is depositing the amount. Okay, 3. Okay, now enter. See, now it is asking to enter the amount to be deposit. So I'm entering 3000. Okay, sorry, 3500. Okay, now enter. Okay, so deposited 3500. Okay, this time select the option 1. Okay, previously it has shown the amount as 0. Now we have deposited amount 3500. Okay, now select the option 1. Okay, now let us see, it is showing the output as 3500. Okay, so this is the best thing that we can perform this ATM mission project. Okay, so this is the basic level project that the freshers can able to understand easily. Okay, now here if I enter the option 4, then it exit from the code. Okay, so I've entered the option 4 and enter. See, it is showing the output exiting. Okay, so this is how this particular ATM project works. Okay, so this is about this particular ATM project. Okay,